Hello, everybody. How you doing? It's Gus Tucker here for Financial Freedom Fridays. Hope you're having a great day. It's good to be back here with you, and we're excited. Man, we're in December. Can you imagine that? We're in December, and 2023 is about to be history. So as we move into 2024, it's critical to have your goals in place before the new year starts. And it takes some time, it takes some thinking, but the purpose of going through this book, The Power of Zero, and some of the things we're talking about is so you can get ahead of uh, your planning, your income planning, your tax planning, planning for your personal life. So let's make that happen, okay? So we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to bring this presentation up, and we're going to walk through this. And you should have read through chapter 6 in the book, and you should be on the case study, which we're going to go through lightly today. We're going to do it, probably go through it again tomorrow. Send me your comments. How are you understanding the concepts? Is it making sense? Are there areas where you need more clarity? Because this is a very, very important set of topics that we're going through uh, as we talk through this, okay? So, find this, where we can hit this slide. Let's see where we're at. Advance the slide. What? Okay. So, what's financial independence and how can it be developed? Look, if you're black in America, you already know. Can we go back? Let's see. No, can we go back? Can we go? Boom, boom, boom. If you already know that if you're black, African American, black American, there's a reality of certain things that you face in your economic life, but we have a choice not to be victims, because my perspective is the God I serve is bigger than any man, and ultimately he's the one who creates my opportunities for me. But you need a strategy as a whole to leverage your unique gifts and abilities so you can develop a sustainable economy. You are your own economy. You don't have to be subject to what's going on in the economy around you, because you're controlled by your mindset, your choices, your attitudes, and your actions. The question is, are you living according to your best self as God has made you? I believe that God has made you for a purpose, and he's placed inside of you certain attributes of himself, certain characteristics of himself. Why do you say that, Gus? Because it says in Genesis 1, let us create man in our image. So God has placed inside of you parts of himself. No one has all of God, but we all have some of him, and we have some of his characteristics. And the first thing God teaches us about himself is he's creative, and he's made you to be creative and to be a creator. So what principles or keys do you need to apply to experience God's promised land? It's all about executing against what God has put inside you. What he's put inside you has created you to be your own brand. You are a solution to people's problems. I was just talking to my brother-in-law, and he's stepping down from a situation that he's involved in, but he's going to be taking up another position. And he said he's excited about it because it's his passion and it's what he was made to do. It's really in his wheelhouse. Okay. And so in doing that, what's going to happen? Yeah, he's going to take care of his family and all that, but he's going to help a lot of people, because the person he is and the things he knows and the things he's experienced will create value for other people, and it'll create value for the organization that's hiring him to do this work. All of us have a similar situation. We've got a set of gifts and abilities that will make a way for us. Have you discovered what yours are? Are you employing them in order to make your economy happen? And we need to work together as a group, because here's the thing. We all need connection with other people. Would you agree? Living life by yourself. Come on now. Somebody once told me if you see two turtles on a fence post, here's one thing you know. They didn't get there by themselves. Okay. So if you see anybody in any position doing anything that's of value for anybody, guess what? They didn't figure it out by themselves. They didn't. They had help. We must connect with people. Okay. We have to be creative because that's who God has made us to be. So you need to be creating. So what are you creating? What are you creating that's being of benefit to other people? Who are you connecting with? Who are you connecting with? And then who are you contributing to? And what are you contributing to them? You do those things and you're going to be successful. So, and that's why I say what you see is from where you sit. Are you sitting from a place of where you're seeking to connect with people, be creative, and then contribute to people? If that's the place you're sitting from, every situation that you go into, you go in with an attitude to want to serve. And if you go in with an attitude to serve, man, you're going to be successful. The whole concept of be, do, have, we've talked about that in the past. We're all doing all that we can do right now, where we're at. If we want to do better and have more, we need to be a different person. You may have heard this before. If you had a job to spend 8 hours cutting down a tree or cutting down trees, you might want to spend the first couple of hours doing what? Sharpening your axe. Because the sharper the tool that you're going to use, the more work you're going to do. In your life, what's your tool? It's you. Your ability to think, reason, communicate, create ideas. So if you want to have more financially and you want to do more financially, you're going to have to be more. Okay? So I would challenge you, what books are you reading? Are you reading The Power of Zero? Are you really? Are you reading it? Are you applying it to your life? Are you thinking about how does this apply to me? And what do I need to do based on what I'm reading to change? I challenge you to take, we're going to go through books. We're going to go through a book every month. I challenge you to take advantage of these and use them to your benefit. The concepts that are in here. Here's one. This is our journal. It was a 90-day journal. Guess what we're down to now? It's December 3rd. We're down to 28 days. We're down to 28 days. So if you've messed around and not got this journal, you got to hurry up. But what it will do is you journal and you sit through talks or trainings or sermons, or you read and you journal and you write down what you're experiencing. You begin to see some patterns. You begin to see some patterns in your life, patterns that are working for you and patterns that are working against you. As you see these patterns, you can then begin to make changes to make your goals happen. Okay. And what it's a $5 book, but the concept is what's going to help you of journaling and thinking through what's going on with you. 4 levels of wealth. We're going to be getting into this next year, and I'm going to have some. I'm excited to introduce you to some friends of mine who are experts in different areas of business and finance that are going to be covering these areas of financial stability, financial security, financial freedom, financial abundance. In 2024, which level are you going for? Which level are you going for? Just from the names, if you think about the names, which one are you going for? I know we haven't defined them in detail, but just based on the names, which one are you going for? We're going to cover these 8 financial breakthroughs, which are our strategies and areas where we need to have plans and goals in. We're going to cover those. Now we're going to get into the meat of this. As you're planning for next year, do you know what your cash flow margin is? Do you know what your total expenses are? Total income your total income minus total expenses. That equals your cash flow every month. Do you know what that number is? Okay. All the money you make in a month and then all your expenses. Do you know what that number is? You got to know that number. And then what are your fixed expenses? These are the things that you have to pay for every month. What are your fixed expenses? These are like, you have to do these to be able to live. You know what those expenses are. They're fixed. You have to have them. If you have a mortgage, then it's the mortgage. If your house is paid off, you still have property taxes and insurance, and you have utilities. Okay. Those are the kinds of things that are fixed expenses. When you get that non-discretionary cash flow margin and your total cash flow margin, the differences in those two numbers are things you could save. Because the next thing is savings and investment. At what level are you saving and investing? Are you at the poor level, the middle class level, or the wealthy level? Poor people save 10% or less of their money. Middle class people between 0 and 20, between 10 and 20%. And the wealthy 30% and up. Man, how could you do that? How could you save 30% of your money? Well, part of it becomes what your point of view is about money. People that are poor or lower middle class, they need money to pay their bills. The primary thing they're thinking is, I need to get money to pay my bills, pay my bills, pay my bills, pay my bills. Middle class people are thinking about, I need money so that I can finance and get what I want for the future. I may go into debt for it, have credit card bills for it, but I need money so I can do that. Wealthy people want to have their money make money for them. They want to have their money make money for them. A friend of mine was talking about this, and he said, when I want something, I don't buy it out of the money that my business made. I buy it out of the money my money made me. So therefore, you never get rid of your principal. What if you can live like that? The money that you make every month just goes into investments. And what you live on is the money your money made. Whoa. What would happen if the money your money was making for you every month was more than you needed to live on? What would happen to your wealth every day? It would just be building. That's the goal. Number 3, your net worth is what you own minus what you owe. What you own minus what you owe every month, every year. You want that to be going up. Then you have your financial independence number. Now, I don't know what your ultimate goals are, but for a lot of people, it's to stop having to work. And for some people, they want to keep working and doing what they're doing. I'm one of those, but stop working for money. When would you like to stop working for money? And you're working just to really fulfill your God-given assignment. And the money that comes in, not that it's inconsequential or it's small, but it's not anything that's going to change your life. Okay. And what sources are you going to have this money come in from? Investments, business, or real estate? Okay. Now, the Power Zero. If you got this book and you're reading it, please give me some feedback on what you think about it. Because I want you to, we're going to get into it a little bit more. Man, this time's flying by. We're going to get into a little bit more. You want to get down to that zero tax bracket. How can you retire in the zero tax bracket? Well, it depends where your money's coming from. You want your money to be coming from, and we're going to look at it, the 3 tax buckets, the tax-free or tax-advantage bucket. Now, the whole issue here and why this should be something that you even care about is, do you think taxes are going to be lower or higher in the future? Well, I think they're going to be higher. And the reason is this. Our country continues to operate at a deficit. What does that mean? We spend more money than we make as a country. So at some point, that's going to come to an end, and they're going to try to dig. We're going to try to, as a country, dig ourselves out by taxing the people more heavily. don't know about you, but when you're in a position, when you're in your late 50s, 60s, and 70s, do you want your taxes to go up, to double and triple on you at that stage of your life? Why do I think that may happen? The four key programs that we operate in the U.S. budget, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and interest on the debt, is over 70% of our budget. And then we have liabilities that we haven't even funded. And we got increase in the cost of these programs and other programs that we can't pay for. So somewhere down the road, somebody's going to have to pay for this. So it's a math problem. Taxes are going to increase because of increases in spending and to cover the cost of what people call entitlement programs, where if they didn't get them, they'd feel like the government was doing them wrong. You know what I mean? Those government checks that come in on a regular basis. And watch out, because tax rates have been as high as 90% in the past. So there's four key areas that you're going to need to think about as you're moving towards retirement. Do I have enough money for retirement? And also in the right accounts for tax purposes. Do I have enough money for retirement? And do I have it in the right accounts for tax purposes? Do you have an answer for that question? Do I have enough money for retirement? Do you know what your retirement number is? And is it in the right accounts? We're going to talk about what the right accounts are in a second. Have I protected my elderly parents and also your later years from the standpoint of long-term care? That if something happened to you, you needed somebody to take care of your parents, who would that be? Would that be you or one of your siblings? Or have you handled a long-term care issue another way with insurance or some other way of handling it that's separate from you actually doing it for your parents? What happens if you or your spouse would pass away? Income protection. Are there people depending on your income? If so, I've been in the financial services business for 20 years, and I love asking this question of married couples. I asked them to pretend that their husband or wife passed away yesterday. Well, obviously they didn't, because they're sitting right there with them, right? So it's less traumatic when you ask the question that way. I asked the spouse, because usually both spouses are working. I said, how long would you want your spouse's income to come in after they passed away, if they passed away sometime in the future? And without fail, all the ladies say, well, my entire life. And typically the men have something that's a certain amount of years. But without fail, every woman says, man, I want to come in my entire life, which is smart. So how much income do you make on a monthly, annual basis? And how much money would you have to put into an account where you could take out 4 or 5% of it every year, and that would equal the bring home income of your spouse? That's what we're talking about. And have you taken care of the next generation with estate planning, wills, trusts, powers of attorney, etc.? There are 3 tax buckets: the taxable, the tax deferred, and the tax advantage bucket. Now, if you look back here, the taxable, that's tax now. Tax deferred is tax later, and then you have tax never. So tax now, you can see the accounts. How many of you have money in those accounts? Guess what? Most of America does. Why? Because they need liquid money for certain reasons. And you should have liquid money in liquid places. I would have it in places that pay more interest than the bank does, but that's the concept. Put it somewhere where it's out of your reach, where you got access to some money if you really, really need it. You know, it could be called an unexpected expenses account or unfunded emergency account or something like that. And that's usually why people have the tax now accounts. Tax later are any accounts with a 4 in front of them: 401k, 403b, 457, 419. Typically, these are tax qualified plans, which means they qualify you to pay taxes when you're retired. They give you a tax break today for a whole bunch of cash down the road from you when your money is blown up. There was a guy, what was his name? I think his name was Wimpy in a cartoon, Popeye cartoon. And he would say, I will gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. That's the government. That's our government with 401ks. They'll give you a hamburger today, a tax break, but you're going to pay tomorrow. That's taxed later. They give you a tax break on your seed, which is the money you make right now. But when you invest that money and you go to harvest it, you're going to pay a lot of money. We're going to show you that a little bit later. And then there's the tax never or tax advantage accounts, which are really two: Roth IRAs and cash value life insurance. Here's what I know. It doesn't matter what it is. If you ask two people their opinion on it, they're going to be different and probably won't agree. Why? Because people, what they see is from where they sit, their particular experiences, and all of us are different. So we're all going to have different experiences, and we're all going to have different ways we look at things. But here's something that I do know. Taxes are probably going to be higher in the future. And if you have any inkling in your body or believing that they might be, then we need to talk so that you get out of the tax later bucket into the tax never bucket. Where you pay your taxes up front, then you invest your money for the future, and it comes out not taxed. When you can least afford or least desire to pay taxes when you're older. Okay? So we talked about the taxable bucket strategy. Tax deferred bucket are the four plans, 457, 401k, traditional IRAs, things like that. Like I said, the contributions are tax deductible, but when you take money out of those bad boys, it's considered ordinary income, and you typically pay tax at a higher level. Okay? Tax deferred bucket. You can only put so much money in IRAs and things like that. IRAs and 401ks. And when you start to take money out of it, and if you get over a certain number, 25 to 34,000 in income for dual income people, 34,000. I'm saying 34,000 is for married people. For single, my knees, get it right. For single people, 25 to 34 in income, up to 50% of your Social Security is taxed. Over 34,000, 85% of your Social Security is taxed. So you think about it. That's not making a lot of money outside of your Social Security to be taxed. Wouldn't it be better to have that money come from a tax-free vehicle? That same 24 to 34,000 come from a tax-free vehicle. It wouldn't even count against your provisional income. You can set that up. And for married people, you can see what the numbers are. Okay? That was the tax-deferred bucket. Then we talked about the tax advantage-free bucket. Key tools for this are the Roth IRA and cash value life insurance, taking advantage of tax rule 7702. In the upcoming weeks and months, we're going to spend time showing you why this asset makes a lot of sense. Cash value life insurance as an asset. You guys get a chance, look up BOLI, bank-owned life insurance, BOLI, BOLI, bank-owned life insurance, and COLI, corporate-owned life insurance. And you'll see that the top banks in America own billions of dollars of life insurance. And there's a reason why. That life insurance on their books is an asset. And the death benefit is a collateral. And the cash in the policy, you can get loans against it. Inside the policy and outside the policy, you can get loans against it. And there's a reason why that's important. Okay? You want to avoid income tax and capital gains taxes, which is what these policies can help you to do. These are some of the limitations of the Roth IRA. okay, that you need to be aware of. And it's got the 5-year rule. We're not going to cover that again. But the idea is if you think taxes are going to go up in the future, you want to be inside of a Roth IRA. You can see here, no change in taxes. It doesn't matter whether you do a 401k or Roth, because it all comes out the end when you talk about the money that actually is in your pocket. Even though the actual dollar amount in your account will be different, the cash flow from it is essentially the same, because one is going to take it without taxes, and then this one is going to be discounted down to those taxes anyway. Okay. And if your taxes just go at 1%, it costs you about $6,000 if you're not involved in a tax advantage bucket. But if our taxes stay the same, you're not going to be worried about it, because your taxes are what they are. They're what they were when they gave you the tax mark up front, and then what they're going to be when they make you pay taxes on the back end. But the question is, do you still want to be paying taxes when you're 60s and 70s? You tell me. I'm going to click over here. Again, there's 4 concerns during retirement: taxes, long-term care, income protection, and estate planning. And here's what this bucket is saying. Here's a family that's done a good job saving. They're 50 years old. They're going to retire in 65 years. They make $100,000 a year. We're going to pick up here next week. They have $500,000 in IRAs. Man, that's great. And in 15 years, they could probably close to double that to $1 million or more. Okay. And then they got taxable mutual funds and 401k. All this money is going to be taxed when they go to retire. Let's say they match their income in retirement from the money they saved and invested. They match their income and they're making $100,000. If you look over here between 77,000 and 165, they're going to pay 22% in taxes. So if they're making $100,000, what's 22% of $100,000? $22,000. And if you retire at 65, how many years you plan to live? Let's just say it was 20 years. And you're paying them $22,000 a year times 20 years. That's $440,000 you paid out to the government during your retirement. How do you feel about that? Paying them close to $500,000 of your retirement money. I don't know. That doesn't sound like a good plan. So what do you need to start doing? And we'll pick this up right here next week. The big idea is it's great. You saved enough money for retirement, but you saved it in the taxable accounts, and you're going to get taxed big time during your retirement. On $100,000, we said that's $440,000. So what can I do? One, you can begin moving money annually from taxable to non-tax strategies. Spread that $400,000 over some years, and also eliminate the possibility that when taxes go up, you're going to pay more than your fair share. From this scenario, you should maintain your insurance and long-term care, because remember, the other issues you got, other than having more money, enough money for retirement, is paying for elder care, health care. Okay, that's a big one. Taking care of the next generation. That's a big one. Making sure you're covered income-wise should something happen to you. So those are the big ideas that we need to cover. Yeah, we're going to talk about next week, okay? We're going to cover the idea that you saved into the wrong accounts and how you move money over to get yourself out of that taxable situation, so that when you retire, you've got the same amount or more money coming in, but it's not being taxed. Does that make sense? It's all we're trying to do is make your money last longer during retirement and not pay the government. We want to pay the government the least legal amount of tax possible. We want to pay our taxes, but we can pay the least legal amount we can. Does that make sense? Okay, guys, continue to read the book, Power Zero. We're going to handle the case study next week and probably the chapter after. Okay? But you guys take care. Have a great weekend. And tell other folks about the program. Like and subscribe. Give us comments. Okay? You guys have a great day. Take care now.